Welcome back to Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Pretty good.
Feels like a little while since we've done a show, but
It's been a couple of weeks.
just a couple weeks now. So, trying to get back in the groove of things. I just got back from vacation. Went to Florida. Well, I went to South Carolina first to see my daughter, who lives in Myrtle Beach now, and it was cold down there. Like it was like, oh, geez, it's not warm down here at all. It was just a one day, and we were just there for. I'm trying to think. We got there like late Friday night, so hung out with her on Saturday. Then Sunday we headed to Tampa, and some excitement on the way down. So me and Andrew. So we left Thursday night after the last meeting, school board meeting on the 12th, and so I get home, and it luckily wasn't a super late meeting, but I don't know. I got home around 7 or something. I don't know, and Andrew had most of the stuff packed and kind of the car. We got rented a rental car, and because it was cheaper, it's actually cheaper to fly. Excuse me, it was cheaper to take a rental car, drive down there and drive back than it would be to fly down and then rent a rental car when you're down there. Plus, I'm just kind of at the point where I'm just sick of the flying stuff, which I'm not scared of flying at all. I've flown.
I'm telling you, I lost
Over.
hope for humanity on a flight from Hawaii to California.
Like,
That's all it takes is one bad flight.
it just didn't. Yeah. So, but in this circumstance, it was a little.
Unless you can
cheaper.
afford first class, and you probably don't have
That's true.
our problems, but we can't
Yeah.
afford first class.
No, it's like if I could afford to, rent a whole jet, and
Exactly.
fly, But so we're switching on and off. Like we switched in Connecticut, and then she drew through like New York City through there, and of course this is late at night, so which is great because it's the time you want to. You always have to time, especially New York, because if you don't time it right, you will spend stupid amounts of time there in traffic, and it would make more sense to sleep 2 hours more or wait 2 hours more or whatever than it would be to spend 3 hours in traffic in that small little section. There's nothing more frustrating than that. So we always try to time it right, and we timed it fine. And so the car was kind of weird. I don't know. It's a Ford Explorer, like one of the new ones. It's nice, but it just, I don't know, it kind of felt weird driving. Like when we left, it was kind of, I think was it raining that night? I think it was raining, but the temperature was like on the cusp. So I'm like, so when I'm driving, I'm always like, hey, if I see it's 32, 33, 34, like I'm really careful because, black ice. And you get up like close to 40, then you kind of like, okay, nah, I'm good, right? So, but it felt kind of weird. I don't know. It felt
A little shaky.
yeah, something weird for a new car, like, so we get down we're in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philly, I think. And I think I woke up and she's like, it's weird, the light, low pressure come on. She's like, well, maybe it's because, like, the temperature or something, and because sometimes that'll happen. Like, if it's super, super cold at night, you go out and start your car and you're like, why are my tires all low? Well, it's just because it's cold and air
Right.
pressure drops, So didn't think nothing of it. And then, like, maybe 20 minutes later, she, like, pulls over and she's like, there's something not right. I'm like, okay, and we're on 95, which is obviously a busy interstate. So it's like, all right, I'll get out and look. Dude, the freaking tire's flat. Like,
Wow.
done. And I'm like,
There's no warning light or anything? It just said low
just
tire?
low tire pressure. Then it went from low tire pressure to no tire pressure. And it had been a fairly slow, like, it wasn't like it was immediate. Like, it was probably, 20 miles or something maybe before it completely went down. And she didn't hit nothing. She's like, I didn't hit nothing. I'm like, you sure? Because we're in Virginia one time, and I think the road closed. I don't know what happened, but anyways, took out 2 of the tires on the trailer. Well, one tire, I think the other one was like, it was okay, but anyways. And so, of course, and I know it was totally just, it happens. It's whatever. I think
Nail
she
on
actually,
the road or something?
yeah, something like that. But so I'm kind of like, goof around with her, like, you sure you didn't hit nothing? She's, no, I didn't hit nothing. And I didn't feel nothing. So I get out and I look, and yeah, I mean, the tire's flat. So I'm like, well, now what do we do? Like, this isn't my vehicle. I don't even know if there's a spare tire in this thing. So she calls the roadside assistance. It's probably, I think it was around 5 in the morning, maybe 4 or 5, I don't know, something like that. She calls, and or maybe it was 4 when it happened, and so call roadside assistance, and they're asking all the questions. The lady was really nice and stuff, but we're like, so, you know, oh, yeah, we'll have to dispatch someone out to change the tire, and are you in a safe location? We're like, well, not really. I mean, we're on 95, and it's 3 lanes, and everyone's going 80, and no one even seems to move over or anything. It's just like, so you can see the exit above, like, right there. Like, it's right there. And the lady's like, well, maybe just try to get off the exit, because then I could get you, like, a ride share. Basically, you could leave your vehicle there, go back to Philly, we'll get you another vehicle and on your way, whatever. So we're like, all right, we'll see if we can at least drive down the breakdown lane, you know. So we went down like another, I don't know, quarter mile maybe or something. But we get onto this off ramp. It doesn't just lead right off an exit.
Right.
It like loops
around.
So we're like safer, but not like. And I'm like, man, you hear stories all the time. People get out, change a tire, or a family gets rear end, you know, because people are crazy drivers, right? You know, and it's like, shit. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? So we waited about an hour, and she was supposed to get a text message from, you know, people saying, hey, you know, such and such is on their way, ETA of this, and we waited, and I checked on my phone, like, does this vehicle have a spare tire? I was like, oh, yeah, there it is, under all of the stuff. And I looked at Emilio, and I'm like, so you ready, like, NASCAR change his tire, like, because I want to do it, and I want to do it fast, because where we are, like, I don't want to be out here on this interstate, like, I don't want to get rear-ended, I don't want to get killed on the side of the interstate because of a flat fucking tire, you know, and I didn't want to, like, drive the vehicle more.
Right, you don't damage them.
Right. If it was my truck, I would have, because my life, and I'd be like, oh, our lives are more valuable than whatever damage is going to do. At that point, it toasted the thing anyway. So, because, yeah, and hey, the lady said, you know, try it, whatever. So, me and Milo jump out. We start getting the stuff out. And, of course, you know, it's these junk scissor jack, you know, like Jack's cars have nowadays. And so, loosen the lug nuts up, and we get it jacked up, and get the tire off. And then
the text message comes in.
No, not even that. Then the freaking jack, like the car falls off the jack or whatever, and I'm like, I'm you know, like, pissed, and it's nothing. He did nothing. I did. There's like a little bit of an angle there, but you know, so here we try it again, right? And of course now you get all the way down and all the way back up. It's not like a quick hydraulic jack like everyone has in their garage. This is roadside, you know, crappiest stuff. You know, a lot of new cars don't even have spare tires anymore.
They just come with like Fix-A-Flat.
Yeah, right.
Mechanic Fix-A-Flat.
Exactly. Like, yeah, let's do that. So we managed to get the tire on and all that. And of course, he's joking like, watch, this tire have no air in it. And I'm like, better freaking air on it because we're driving it. So we did manage to get the tire on. So now I have to drive back a half hour to Philly to the airport to get a rental car.
Did she call and say you didn't need the ride share anymore? Or?
Well, ride share was only going to be an option if we could get off the interstate, because like Uber won't come on the interstate. It's a policy, safety, which I get it, but this is kind of like a different situation. Like, but whatever. So she drives back to about 30 minutes to Philly. I think we just got into Delaware or whatever. So luckily it was close. Like, it wasn't like we're in the middle of nowhere, but she's like, all right, you're going to go to Philly. You're going to get a vehicle go to Budget this time, though, because we rented from Avis, but it's the same company. Like, you'll notice a lot of these companies are the same. But so we go there, and the lady's over there, and, like, Andrew comes back after. She's like, that's the rudest lady I've ever met in my life. Like, it was like being a raging bitch. Like, just because someone didn't show up that was supposed to, and it's not her job. Like, just one of these deals. And then come to find out, they're like, oh, you need to go over to Avis. But Avis said to come here, you know. So we just, luckily, it's just like in the parking lot. You got to kind of drive around. And so we go over to Avis. She goes in and is like, at least these people are nicer. And still took a little bit of time to, like, explain the whole thing. And so they bring another car over. Same identical car, just different color. We had red. I think this was silver or something. So put everything in. Super nice guy that brought the vehicle out. We're talking, of course, we're in Philly, and the Eagles are, one game away now from the Super Bowl. And so I was kind of talking about that, just, trying to relate with him and talk about the stuff that might be, and like, hey, you're in Philly, so this is something that all Philly people are probably like, yeah, the Eagles. So I was talking to him. So he was super, super cool. So for some reason, like, we got it all packed in. We were getting close to leaving, and me and him just like walked around the car, and because we were kind of talking about how the tire on the other car was like bald, like it had hardly any tread on it, so it never should have even left, never should have been given to us. And we look, and the exact same tire, the right rear tire, in this one has a huge chunk of rubber out of it. You can see the wires. So someone like curbed it or something. And I'm like, I'm not taking this vehicle because this is going to happen to us again, except it'll be worse this time. And he's like, oh, yeah, and absolutely. Like, no way. So Angie has to go back in, do everything she just did all over again, come back out with another identical Explorer. This was white. And switch everything. And then the first thing I do this time, I was like, oh, check the tires and walk around. I didn't know if this car was clean though. Like it had just a kind of smell in it. And we found some mail in it or something too. Like I don't even know if the car got clean when it came back. But at that point, I just wanted to like. So this whole thing took about 4 hours or so from when it happened to finally get back on the road. And originally we were going to pick up my daughter from school that day. And I'm like, there's no way it's going to happen now because then we just lost 4 hours of time, you know. And so luckily nothing like serious happened at it. But I was like, how? And I said to him, like, how is this even? Like, you guys would have sent someone out on the road with that car right there with that chunk out of it. So he takes his crane out. He just put on the other car that said out of service because the junk tire. Puts it on this car, and I'm like, so we show up and bring them 2 cars. You know, they have 2 cars now that are not usable, and luckily this one, you only have the weird issue when we were in Florida. It had some weird, occasionally like you hit start button and it would turn over for a while before it would start. I was like, oh great, this one's gonna like be junk soon too, and we're gonna have a 4th vehicle. Like,
I don't know, that's crazy. So you made it there safely, had a good time?
We made it there safely, had a good time.
A lot of fishing.
Yeah, tried to fish as much as I could. It was weird because this time when we were there, I think it was just the time of year, but so we're in the old Tampa Bay. So it's Tampa. Tampa's huge though, and we've been here many times. I really like it. Sailport. So it's like a little condo kind of. So it's got a kitchen and all that stuff, and it's right on the water. So you go and all fish down there. But from like 10 a.m. to 6, like the tide was out and kind of coming back in, and so it would get super shallow, so it kind of messed up the fishing during the day thing. But I fished at night and caught a bunch of catfish.
You can go look for seashells?
No, there's nothing really in the bay
really
there.
No.
There.
Oh, you're on the bay.
Yeah, it's in the bay. So, ton of fun though. We went to a fishing store down there and got a few more because I have a storage unit down there. So I just leave my fishing stuff down there, and I told her, it's like, Andrea, I was like, hey, we should add to it. But one of the days, I don't remember what day it was. So you have like, there's a closet that has a bunch of other toilet paper, but this particular condo is owned like by somebody, and they like Airbnb it. And I didn't know that because I thought this place was just, it's Sailport, they own it, they whatever. So it's not like a typical, you know, go to the office, they have an issue, whatever. So the toilet got clogged, and they had like this super thick toilet paper, and I'm like, which whatever, I don't care what you want to use, but most time like hotels and stuff, they don't, first of all, it's more expensive, and it's more apt to clog the toilet. So we were just like, oh, toilet got clogged. I think we went to the zoo and came back, and I thought it'd be like, maybe it would go down and be good, you know, whatever. No. So, go to the office, like, do you guys have a plunger we can use? Like, I can fix this. This is kind of what I do. This would be a pretty quick thing, you know. So, no, we don't have any plunger. You'll have to call the people you rent from. And I'm like, I think it was Sunday. I'm like, there's no freaking way I'm going to do that. Or, you know, call a service, like have a router man. Or
It's interesting because if you were the type of person staying at my brother's house, you would definitely call.
Yes, I'm not that.
And then it would cost $70 to the renter. That's a racket.
least.
That's what we should get into, is managing rental properties.
It's crazy, isn't it?
A renter calls the management company automatic like $70 if they have to do anything.
You were getting screwed.
Yeah, that was a good
racket.
manager.
Yeah, and you were getting screwed. But
doing it for well, I was doing it for the elk hunt, but
we don't go
didn't
there.
end up going there.
So, well, I was like, I'm not going to spend a couple $100 for this. Like, it's never going to happen. So I was like, what do I do? I was like, I went on.
Why didn't you just go buy a plunger?
Well, I was going to. I just didn't want to go anywhere.
I mean, don't they sell them like at gas? Well, probably not. Maybe at a
No, I
convenience
looked,
store,
and
really.
so I got lucky because I went on. So I went on Walmart's. Well, first of all, I went on Amazon because some places in Amazon will deliver in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You would think Tampa would be one of those. It was not, at least for that, anyways. So I was like, no, that's not gonna work. So I went and on Walmart's website, like, all right, how quick can you deliver? It was like the next day. I'm like, no. So I went on my Uber Eats app and went to Winn-Dixie because there's a couple stores on there that you can, and they had a plunger. And I was noticing like we're like getting low on toilet paper because they had that thick stuff, and there was all of us there, and we've been there. We actually stayed extra a couple days because we were supposed to leave on Saturday. We ended up staying until Tuesday morning, and so I Uber Eats 12-pack of Scott toilet paper and a plunger, and
That had to have been a funny delivery.
I know it was. It was kind of funny, and of course the guy like couldn't come to the room for some reason. Like some of the drivers are great, come right to the room. Other drivers like they must have went to security first instead of just delivering it like most people do. So I just had to run down and grab it, and he's like, "Yeah, there's my guy. He's got his roll of his toilet paper and a plunger." So it was like $40 delivered everything. Which some people are like, well, that's stupid, Tim. You just went to the store and bought a $10. Like, yeah, true, but I'm looking at it. It would have been a couple $100 for some service to come out and fix this because like that's what I would have charged. It would have been $175 to go out for on a weekend charge, and then whatever for snaking and whatever. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I mean, I was looking at the shower right next to it. I'm like, that hose is almost like I can clear a toilet. Like I know, like I've been doing this for a long time. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. But anyways, it was $40, and so we brought like a 12-pack of toilet paper, and I'm like, we'll leave like 2 rolls here, and we're taking the rest home with us. So I need toilet paper at home anyways, right? No matter what.
Hot commodity. You never know when you're going to manufacture
Andrew's
a
like,
crisis.
what do you want to do with the plunger? I was like, thought about leaving it there because then the next people, if they had an issue, I'm like, screw that. I was like, we're taking it with us. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. We left in the storage unit. So if we're in Florida again and have an issue, I can just run to the
smart.
storage unit and grab a plunger.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of snow while we were.
Yeah, that's about it. When you were gone, it snowed. You were sending me pictures of you out fishing, and I was out plowing or shoveling usually.
It was so nice. I didn't. Well, Andrew didn't want to come back even more than me, but like I didn't want to come back. I was just like, do we have to? I love New Hampshire. I do. I'm born and raised here. Like, but I hate winter, and I think the older I get, the more I hate winter.
That's why everybody goes down to Florida.
Everyone goes down to Florida. The other thing I noticed is like coming back, like I didn't meet one person down there that was sick. None. Zero. And I was like starting to come back, and it's like starting to kind of feel like a little something. Then I get back here, and like her mom's getting a cold again. I'm like, see, this is why like the Northeast is such a horrible place to live because you get snow all the time. It's depressing. You ask anybody that. There's some people that love it.
You're not
but-
eating healthy. You're not exercising
No.
because that's what
Right.
I would recommend. I'm not a medical provider, but
Right. But it's like, this is
being
why
outside, getting sunlight, all that
Yes.
stuff. Like
every day down there was high 60s to almost 80. Like we got lucky. It was 70s most of the time, and went to the Tampa Zoo twice, which is just fun. Last time we were down there a year ago, she bought the year membership, which as long as you went one more time during that
paid
year,
for itself.
it more than paid for itself. And so we definitely got our money up. I've got a fishing license in Florida anyways. I just have it like on the auto renew. It's like $60 a year, $45 a year. I don't know. Because I like to try to go down at least once or twice a year. Of course, once it gets summer, I won't go down. It's too
I'm
hot.
glad that you get a license to fish. You
Yeah.
know, because
I'm not outstanding citizen like that. I even get the hard card. It's in my pocket. I can show you after. Because it's like, it's $5 more, but it's cool. It's a hard card. It's like I got a fishing license. So, yeah, we did that. I feel like now I have to get back into the routine.
you got a routine tonight, baby. School
Yeah,
board
we've got
meeting.
school board tonight. I've got to get back to like working on the.
You had to plow already this morning.
Yeah, I didn't get stuck though.
That's good.
Yeah, my brother's like, I almost had to call you. I was getting stuck, and I was like, oh great, he's getting stuck. I've not had a good year for getting stuck. Like it's been rough.
I almost went off in the slippery part over there.
with the tractor.
Yeah. I got it back up.
No, driveway looked good. I was so impressed. I pull up in here, your driveway's all cleared out and everything. I was like, I was proud of you, Steve.
Yeah, I've destroyed both walls though, so I'll have to do some wall rebuilding in the spring or summer.
Let me say walls. What walls?
At the front of the driveway, just pushing the snow and knocking them a little bit, like
not-
the edges.
So not the wall of the garage or anything.
No, never.
Things like that happen. So
Yeah. As long as I'm the one doing it, I can deal with it a lot easier. You know what I mean? It's
of course we was it Monday? It was Monday. So Amelia went down and Amelia flew back on Tuesday. Not this past Tuesday, it was Tuesday before. So that way he didn't miss. He's a sophomore, so didn't want him to miss as much school as Lydia, where Lydia got a lot of her work or whatever. And so he flew back, which made him feel more comfortable too, because her uncle and her mom are like watching the house, and the pellet stove it's not a good, nice Harmon one like we had at the other place that never had issues. This thing does throw codes and things here and there.
everything new has issues. Your Explorer, the thing,
Yeah,
nothing's
so-
built like it was even 5 years ago, much less 40 years ago.
No, so Amelia was here, so at least Amelia can handle stuff. I give him crap. He'll piss me off a lot. Whatever. But at the end of the day,
He never called us for any help, so he must have.
yeah, he handled it. But he messaged me one day. He's like, Angel, our cow, who had the calf back in the spring, he's like, she's not doing it. She's laying down and doesn't want to get up. And I'm like, crap, what am I going to do? I'm in Florida. So he messaged, he sent me a picture. I'm like, she's laying down, not like you see the cow out in the field laying down, laying down,
Legs spread out.
yeah, just head laying on the ground. That's not good. So I messaged a buddy of mine who knows more about cows than any of us, because he literally he's my age, but he grew up from birth to now, and he just
Raising the animals.
yeah, he knows his stuff. And of course it was Monday because it was snowy and crap. He's like, I can try to get out this afternoon. I just got a lot of stuff going on, but I kind of explained what was going on. He's like, well, sounds like maybe dehydrated and cold. Not a lot you can do at that, and so I was like, all right. So told him, you need to try to get the drink somehow. They got Pedialyte even to try that. And so that was Monday. We got back yesterday morning at 10 a.m. So it's been 2 days, and so I went down to see her, and I was like, nah. So I had to put her down. You could just tell she's suffering, and no clue what happened, she just was fine. She hadn't been gaining lots of weight. The other, Annabelle looks great. She's really bulked up. But I didn't know because she had a calf. I don't know. She eats just like the rest of them. No, it's not like she hasn't been eating or anything crazy like that. That was obvious. So I don't know if she had some sort of thing going on. But of course, I hunt, right? I'll shoot a deer, whatever. That's pretty easy. But when it's one of your animals that you care about, you've fed, and even when you're going to put an animal down and that's actually going in the freezer, it's still kind of hard because you fed it, you talk to it, you try not getting attached, but which eventually she would have been an animal that would have ended up in the freezer, but this was just a mercy thing. It's not okay to see your animal suffering, so had to put her down. Luckily, it was just a quick, easy thing, but not fun thing when you just get back from vacation. Reality's setting in, but it's always tough. We had a calf that we had to put down, and then the mother of that calf later that year, the vet came out with this one and said we basically got a bad cow when we bought it because she's got heart issues, and had to put her down, which was tough too. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it, and then you go out to do it, and you're like, and then heart's racing. I'm like, but
It's a tough life of a farmer.
it is. It's not easy. It's not.
No, I can't. Yeah, I feel for you.
The chickens, when we butcher some chickens, it's kind of it's not fun. It's not.
Yeah.
Some people are
it makes it you realize you don't just go to the grocery store and buy a pack of chicken. You've put your work effort into it. You've gotten to kind of know them a little bit in the sense of you recognize them, and then you're like, oh, you tasted good.
Well, we had so the rooster. So I started in the spring, or excuse me, in June, I think it was like when I got my chickens. They're 16 weeks old, which was way easier. Because remember, I did the thing with the turkeys and chicks, and at the end, none of them survived. Like, because raising chicks, it's hard. It's not, it's not like a cow or even a pig. Like, so if the pig litter has 12, oftentimes one or two will die. It's just normal. Well, chickens, their rate's even higher. It's why they lay an egg every day, and every chicken, it's just part of it, right? And but I ended up losing. Something was getting in. I don't know what it was. I still don't know to this day. We finally got it like closed off and stuff, but I ended up losing six or seven chickens during like a 2-week period. Because I'm like, I can't even see where they're getting in. Like one night we had been leaving the chickens outside in their coop, so they get the inside part. And then you got, the fence or whatever. And so we've been leaving them out, have no issues. I lost a couple that night and then left them inside. Somehow still lost. That's when you would put the lock on for me. So I lost a couple chickens. But ever since then, the rooster hasn't really been like, I don't know. He's kind of a dick now. He was really cool before. Because roosters can be that way, So he kind of like, you'll feed them and then he kind of like comes at you, and it's kind of weird how he does it, because he like jumps and then puts his his claws out or whatever, like at your legs or whatever. You just kind of like kick him. I mean, you don't kick him like,
just brush
you know
him
what I'm
off.
saying, But you're like, hey,
let him lay on your leg and flick him off.
So yesterday on Facebook, Andrea shows me this thing. It's like, oh my God, you have to see this. So these people, same situation that ours, had a rooster. The rooster like attacked the little girl who was like Adelina's age. She's 3 or 4, and Adelina will be three next month. 3 months next month. So she's like, I'm surprised this post didn't get issues. So here's the scratches on her daughter's face and stuff. The same thing would have happened here, except these people took it a little further than I would have. And here's the rooster that was now put down for attacking the daughter. And here's the daughter eating the little nuggets from the rooster. Which I thought was hilarious, because I just would have killed the damn thing. And because, which Andrea's like, might be at the point where we might need to get another rooster at some point. Because, you go on Facebook, everyone's always giving away a rooster. It's not ours just because they're cock-a-doodle-doing at 5 a.m. They get aggressive. And I think because this rooster had whatever the animal was getting in, and then I still get squirrels getting in there, like stealing the food. I think it's kind of got him, he forgets, like, we feed him and we're care about them and nurture them, that he's just like, I hate everybody, I'm gonna like
attack anybody that comes in my domain.
So hopefully I don't have to do that, but that could happen.
I've been watching some videos the last couple of weeks on how to build a good chicken coop. I only need like 4 or 5 chickens.
We're finally getting eggs again.
Are you?
Finally. Yeah.
We changed the feed up because Conspiracy Steve here has seen some videos about
you have to
change
give them
the feed up, and then all of a sudden they started producing eggs.
You have to give them the layer pellets, I guess. And Andrew's really good at making sure, like, she gives them way more than I think they need. Because I said to her, I was like, we realize we don't have 12 chickens anymore, right? We only have 6 out there, like the rooster and 5 hens, and that and corn, But what happens is, in the winter, it's not light long enough, so they stop laying. So if you put a light out there, they'll lay all year round. But I don't have power down there, and but now it must be that it's January and we're on the flip side of.
It's not getting dark at 4
yes,
anymore. It's getting dark at 5.
It's getting a little long, so I think that's probably what's happening. So I'm excited. So if this continues, I will have eggs that I will sell. JJ's going crazy chasing his tail.
Too bad it's not on the camera.
I don't know. Sorry, JJ, can't be a
can't be a star today, buddy. Calm down. Sit down, buddy.
So I may have eggs soon.
That's good.
Which I'll sell for like $4 a dozen rather than what?
You're going to undercut them by
7, whatever. It's crazy what they're charging for eggs.
It's crazy because I watched a video about 5 months ago. Some old grandma homesteader was like, eggs, they're coming for your eggs. And I was like, I don't know about that. And slowly but surely, they're up to like $7.99, $8.99.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So that's how expensive they are. They blamed it on bird flu.
They killed all the birds. They made everybody kill their birds, even if they weren't sick, even if they weren't near the... Allegedly. I mean, that's just what I've read.
But I got to say, I haven't noticed a lack of chicken in the store. I mean, if you killed a bunch of birds, you also would have killed a bunch of birds that would have just been meat birds. Because all chickens lay eggs. There's not like meat birds and egg birds. There are types of birds they use for laying, but at the end of the day, it's a chicken.
Right.
So all chickens lay eggs. And then you just sent me something. What was it? Was it CDC? What was the thing about trying to blame eggs on blood clots or something?
There's a few articles out. So be careful out there if you're eating eggs. They can cause blood clots now.
There's no way that it could be,
anything else.
Anything else.
It's the eggs.
Nothing boosted.
Choose your eggs wisely.
Yes. It couldn't be any of those things. Yeah. Couldn't be.
It's the eggs.
It's got to be the eggs. The eggs that
eggs that we've been eating since the dawn of domestication of chickens.
Yeah.
However many thousands of years ago that might have been.
The eggs that your parents had every day when they grew up, your grandparents had every day since they grew up. And those eggs now causing blood clots.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. It's very interesting. I mean, it couldn't be.
It makes me want to grow my own eggs.
Yeah.
So that I won't get blood clots.
Yeah. Because it's got to be those eggs.
Well, that or climate change. I mean.
It could be that too. Could be.
One of those two things is definitely causing.
Right. But it's definitely not the other thing. Definitely not. Definitely not that. Definitely not. Definitely not. No. All right. Well, this is my long version of vacation. I could talk about other things, but we don't need to because, people got to listen.
Hopefully, if they're still here.
Hey, we got one listener that listens all the time. He's pissed when we're not on, so he's a diehard. I'm confident he'll always listen to our show. So that's why Bruce, we're gonna start doing more shows. Now that I'm kind of at a point where I'm living in my house and I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm living in my house. We can definitely get back to. I like to do a couple shows a week, so we won't get back to the whole.
Hey, I'm going to start tweaking with the format here. Once I'm working on a project for the school board. Once I knock that out, I'm going to try
some things.
Different things.
Yeah, we're going to do some different things. We're probably going to get on Rumble.
I mean, we need to get on Rumble, Discord. We should probably get on to everything because sooner or later, you're going to slip up and say something, and we're going to lose our your account.
That's coming much sooner than you think.
By the end of this episode.
Did you see that AT&T which is DirecTV, they own DirecTV, it's dropping Newsmax. So they're censoring Newsmax, and so they're going to drop them from their service. So my recommendation, if you have DirecTV, is you should tell them to come get your satellite off my roof because I don't support censorship in any way, even if I don't watch Newsmax, even care about Newsmax.
Well, if anybody's paying attention to them, this is my observations over the last 3 years, is the government is allowing corporations to cancel us, right? So in this case, it's AT&T and DirecTV, so they're censoring, so however many millions of customers they have.
Right.
Even if, they don't even have a choice to watch Newsmax. Not that they,
correct.
Some of them may not even have ever turned it on or anything else, but and Newsmax isn't even really that far right.
No,
it's just ridiculous. So
what
they're doing is they're utilizing businesses and financial institutions to get us to acquiesce and say, so the government can say, that's not us, these are these businesses, and they have their rights because it's their own personal business. Which, okay, if that's the case, then everybody needs to stop what they're doing and not participate in their.
And I'm fine with that.
Yes, it's like you said, get rid of AT&T.
Yes.
I try not to buy Coke products ever since, the debacle from a year and a half ago. Your words mean something. So just like if you and I say something on here, Bruce might not watch us anymore because he might be like, well, these guys are a bunch of jackasses.
Right.
Right. And that's the risk we run at talking and letting people know how we feel.
As a business and as a person, okay, so AT&T, DirecTV, they 100% have the right to do that. 100%. Because it's a private company. But they should be thinking in their heads, just like me and you would think running a business, wait, if I'm going to alienate 20% of my listeners, well, my purpose in being in business is to make money. So why would I want to lose 20% of my customers to?
Because they're not making money, because the government will bail them out. The government bails
Exactly.
everybody out. The government has bailed out banks. It's bailed out the car industry. The government, for some reason, bails
airlines.
out all these people instead of letting them fail. They would let you
Yes.
fail.
Yeah, yeah. We bail them out, Steve.
Yeah.
We bail
Yeah,
them
we
out.
bail them out with our
We
tax
bail
money.
them out. So, yeah, that's true. You cancel your AT&T right now, but
You'll bail them
you'll
out.
bail them out in a couple years anyway. So,
Yeah, it went from 50 news organizations or whatever back in the 90s to 6. So now you're losing news organizations through the television providers or the
yes.
providers. So they're going to whittle it down to even fewer and fewer until you get what the state has sanctioned for you to listen to, which is communism/fascism. When the businesses operate on behest of the government, and they are, whether they acknowledge it or whatever, my opinion is that we're basically in fascism.
But that's not opinion. That's fact.
I know, but so Google, YouTube doesn't allow us to say things, which if it were a true free society, and I get Google doesn't want us saying right, like there's some speech that is not protected, like we're going to threaten somebody or whatever else.
Threatened speech isn't protected, but that's the only speech that's not connected. You could be the most.
And I get it. So like YouTube's like, I don't want your kind on my platform. So when they kick us off, we'll go to another one, and they'll appreciate us. Or they won't even know that we're there because they don't really care and moderate anything, and we're just doing it because we're doing this for fun. Because what else are we going to do other than to try to warn everybody that something's not right in our country?
You mean all those things we've been saying for the last couple of years? It's all slowly coming out that it's been true.
Yeah, my mom, I think I told you this earlier, was like, I saw something the other day, and they said verbatim, word for word, what you said 2 years ago. And I'm like, it's odd how I read that same stuff 2 years ago, and now they're just now finding it, but I, some lowly Newportian Sunshine Town resident, can find it, but yet, the people in the know and in charge just now found it 2 years later. Oddly odd.
Did you see the guy, one of the main guys that investigated the Trump collusion with Russia and couldn't find nothing, was just arrested for ties to Russia?
For colluding with Russia.
You can't make this up. Like, you can't make it up. But
here's another one of my observations. Everything they accuse Trump of doing, they do.
Yes.
So Biden last week said, Trump was out of line. And I'm not necessarily, people always think I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a Trump policy supporter. Like, my life was a lot better underneath Trump.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I think Trump's the best guy.
No.
He might be a good guy. He might be a bad guy. I've heard stories from people who have met him. They're biased, right?
Your brother's
My brother.
He's very
He's
biased.
biased because he didn't, put praise
That's
on
because
his
they
golf
both had
shot.
type A personalities with big egos. Except Trump backs his ego up with a big-ass checkbook.
Rob backed it up with almost a hole-in-one. Almost, not quite.
Had he said, good job, it would be...
Well, he said it was an okay shot or whatever he said to my brother. It was okay. My brother's like, that was awesome. He was like, yeah, it's okay. So that's my one story that I have.
That's fun, though.
But my brother does give credit to Trump, saying that he is very generous with his celebrity and giving back to the community. Like, he'll go around and do golf fundraisers for all kinds of people. So, I mean, truth and, so even though my brother didn't get the compliment he was expecting, he did say that. But anyway, so my point being that everything that they accuse Trump of doing, it seems like they do, right? So it's deflection.
Classified documents that were in a...
Right, but
obscure
the other
garage.
day, Biden said that Trump was out of line and there's nothing better than freedom of the press in America and all this other stuff. So I'm just waiting now for Biden's DOJ to arrest some journalists, right? Because he's accusing Trump of being anti-freedom of the press. But yet, I'm just over the observations of the last 2 years, the Biden regime will end up doing something more than they already had to journalists, right? It's not going to be like Ducey or anything. It'll probably be like Project Veritas because they're guerrilla journalism. Always finding out interesting things. Project Veritas, I would check them out. Marco Polo, I would check them out. You can read all about Hunter Biden's laptop. You can Google or search for any term on his laptop, and it'll pull up any email, any file that he has.
Nobody cares, though. Me and you would be in jail.
Oh, like years ago.
Yeah. Have you noticed what's happening in the country yet? It's class warfare.
No, it should be. No, so it's not class warfare, and warfare is kind of a bad word. But the classes should join together.
Right.
If the classes all joined up, meaning the Trump supporters, the Biden not supporters, but the liberals.
Yeah, the ones that don't like Trump but hate
Because,
Biden,
like, if you look at it, the Democrats aren't the Democrats of old, from my observation, because they don't support
they're kind of the
unions.
Republicans of today, right?
Yeah, like they don't
JFK
support the
would-
unions, all that other stuff, and so they'll squash unions, which is very not the Democratic Party. But that's happened. Like the rail worker strike, they ended that. They didn't really give the rail workers what they wanted, right? They didn't support them. But by they, I'm saying like those far left Democrats, right? They all acquiesced and voted with Pelosi and everything else. So it's all a wash, man. My point, going back to whatever they accuse Trump of doing or whatever, it's actually them that's doing it. That's the observation that I have. And so I would expect to see something go on with a journalist at some point in the near future. This is my prediction. I'm giving a prediction out there. It might be a year from now or whatever.
I think
But just because it was harsh words that he used about Trump, I was like, he's definitely going to arrest a journalist for something. Or maybe not arrest, but I mean, because they've already harassed, I guess, Project Veritas, because they took all their phones and everything else. So, I mean, he's already
they took the My Pillow guy's phone.
Yeah. It's amazing how some things they can figure out immediately and other things it's years later and we still have no clue. You watch a TV show where, like, if me and you drive by a house 3 times because we're doing a paper route, whatever, and something happens at that house, the police will show up at our door and be like, we pinged your phone in this area 3 times over the last 5 days. What were you doing in that area?
Oh, kind of like the Idaho killer. That's how they caught him.
Well, that, and I mean, yeah.
And he's a freaking idiot and got pulled over twice for driving too fast, or tailgating. I watched the thing on, I don't know, Dateline or something when I was in Florida, I think it was.
Hey, a little Dateline.
Angel likes
Keith
those
Morrison
things.
on there, the high-pitched guy.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting, and the lady was kind of like, so why do you do it? I was like, they have no freaking clue. They caught him last week. Like, they started this program when it happened.
I wonder
like,
what his motive is, other than just being sick. If it was him, right? Innocent until proven guilty.
I don't know. He kind of looks like a
It's
serial
an
killer.
alleged.
He does kind of look like a serial killer. But there's a lot of weird things with that case if you looked into it. Like, 2 other people are alive in the house. He stabbed them to death, and no one heard nothing. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff, but... all right, a couple...
A bunch of allegedly goes to that story.
Yeah. So,
Allegedly.
a few things tonight. We'd already kind of mentioned it.
So we're going to local here?
Yeah. School board meeting, 5 o'clock. I don't remember what's on the agenda, and there's not a lot, but anyways. So if you can't make it, you can watch it live on NCTV or on, I think NCTV's on Facebook or their website. You can watch it. Be great if some people showed up.
Yeah, it just takes participation. Come and tell us that we're wrong about something. Tell us we're right about something. Just be involved. Come in there and say, hey, these teachers are doing a great thing. Or
Something.
I like this. Or have you thought about doing this? Or this is horrible. Do y'all know this is going on? There's all kinds of things that...
You know, I feel like I made an observation when I was in Florida. Well, 2 observations.
I mean, the thing is usually, though, you know, if you do that, we're not going to answer immediately because we don't know if you're bringing it up to us. So sometimes that's why, like, I just look at people like I write down what you say so I can go back and try to look into it.
Yeah, because unlike boards of the past, we actually are going to make sure we get answers to those people.
Yeah, I just, you know, sometimes I don't want to talk off the cuff and
Depending on what it was,
yeah.
I'm more the guy that could maybe just screw it. I'm going to say. But anyways, so I noticed 2 things when I was in Florida. One, which matters not a drop, but I just want to say it because it's funny, and I really noticed it on the way back. I'm like, there are some strange fucking people in Florida, and I'm like, strange people. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what my brother said about New York City now. He's like, there's a marked change, and
there was this one particular guy who was like, I don't even know if he was with his parents or what, but strange, probably like 50-year-old or something, like weird freaking dude. Like, just weird. But anyways, I was kind of making the observation. Then there was another guy.
Like you were using your 30 some odd years of observation skills. You saw somebody and you're like, that's not normal as I know normal to be. Let me walk on the other side of the street from home.
Yeah.
Well, you're a racist, misogynist, sexist.
He was white.
Pissed.
He was white.
You need to go up and talk to him. You don't know what he's going through.
That's true.
Break down those barriers. If he smells bad, if he's talking to himself, he's just so...
I almost asked, so...
Being sarcastic, by the way, for
the few people out there, like, oh my God.
like I'm being sarcastic. Like,
There was actually, so the guy that was in Philly.
it's a defense mechanism we all have built in so that we don't get ourselves into a bad situation. Hence, we're all scared of spiders, or not necessarily scared, but you see a spider or a snake and you're like, bad, dangerous, let me chop its head off or let me move it. I only chop heads off of poisonous snakes. Up here, I've never harmed an animal on purpose,
Do you realize that?
other than mice in my house.
Do you realize that Gardner snakes are actually poisonous? But the reason they can't harm you is because their fangs are in the back of their mouth and they're too small to like bite you. Just like the most deadly spiders, actually daddy long legs, but they're they can't bite you. And if you were to eat a Gardner snake, that musky, nasty, smelly stuff is actually poisonous. I learned this at the alligator wildlife thing I went to, which is really cool.
I was wondering where you got all this fresh information. So you went to an alligator park? You wrestled some alligators?
All right, so it was I think it was in St. Petersburg, or it was right there. So I arranged for a private tour. So it was after hours, so they close at 6. So from 6:30 to 7:30, you can go in for a private thing. And Adelina loves alligators and stuff, so I was like, okay, cool. It was like with tax, it was like $263, which for all of us to go to like Busch Gardens would be more than that. And this is private, and so I got really concerned though because the email I got said for safety and talked about masking, and I'm like, there ain't no way in hell I'm wearing a mask. I don't care.
To an alligator farm?
Anywhere. I don't care where it is. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I won't.
Ain't happening.
No.
I get there. I think it's just an email from back whenever. It just never changed. Dude comes out. There's a guy who's taller than me, younger though, probably like mid-20s. And it's like, hey, you're going to see some alligators and stuff. But they didn't just have alligators. They had snakes and all kinds of cool stuff. And we started actually in the snake room, and he pulls out a ball python, albino one, and we didn't get to hold him, but like touch it. It was pretty cool. And Adelina thought it was great, And then they had some skunks that were they're descented, but they're something different. It's funny. I don't know if you've seen a skunk like this. It looks a lot like a ferret, just bigger. But we got to see that. Like, and he kind of was cool. He kind of could tell like we were cool, and he showed us a few things. I think that maybe even wouldn't have. He's like, hey, let's So he pulled a bunny out. It's just different things. And Adeline was loving it, and we talked about coral reefs, and because they're trying to grow some coral there, and had some lizards. He's like, yeah, that lizard actually is microchipped because we have to have a permit to have it, and if it gets out, we said screw it and brought him down the road and let him go. Like, they would take all our license, would be done. They're Caesar animals, and which I thought was kind of cool because just like the boa constrictors that are becoming an issue down there because Florida's perfect climate for it, and people just like, I don't want to deal with the same way, just let it go. These lizards, I guess, are similar, and so it was pretty cool. They had a monitor lizard. It was like the closest thing to Komodo dragon, which Tampa Zoo has some Komodo dragons, which I personally, it's like my favorite. It's the most dinosaur-like animal. I mean, everyone will say alligators are, but a Komodo dragon to me is like, that's a freaking dinosaur.
No, it'll kill you too.
Yes, but I still want to like check this out, So this place was awesome. Like, if you want to visit, it's like $15 to go in. There are all these, but
what was it called?
It was Alligator and Wildlife something.
In Tampa.
It was in it was between Clearwater and St. Pete. It was like a little town, but I'll put a thing up at the end of the show because, seriously, if you're down there, check it out. It's they're not a nonprofit. They're working to do that, but this isn't a place like, it's not like a Busch Gardens where they're making millions of dollars. Like, this is a small place, and this kid had
You're at Tiger King's Park, basically?
Yeah, no.
A little bit better than that?
Yeah, no, this was no, because Tiger King, that dude was just a freaking loser who had animals that shouldn't have been able to have a dog, let alone tigers. This dude had a degree in like zoology and stuff. Then that's why he was telling all this information, which it's kind of funny because he could tell us all these things and he could know nothing about nothing, and you know more than me because I don't know, you know. So you could be like, you know,
So you you let him have the authority
yeah, of course,
as the expert there.
yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, if I went to like Tiger King and that guy, like, okay, I wouldn't because you could clearly read the room and
Yeah.
you're a jackass.
I mean, if I ended up at the Tiger Kings thing at any point in my life, you know, when I was younger, I'd have been like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Dude, one time we were down there before Tiger King come out, we almost ended up at Carol Baskin's place because we were looking for things to do. That came up for some reason we didn't go, and I was so happy we didn't go because I would have been pissed. Like,
Yeah, you're supporting Carol Baskins.
I can't even say that bitch killed her husband anymore because they think they found him actually alive in like the Caribbean or something.
Really? That's even crazier than the.
That is a crazy ass. See, that's a perfect example of crazy effing people in Florida. She is a perfect example of.
Because she almost, like, during that whole thing, it was almost like, you know, like she did.
She is a nut job. She's a nut.
Allegedly.
No, there's no allegedly. She's a freaking nut job.
Your personal observation, Timothy's, not mine. From when
Do
Carol
you
comes
think
after you.
Carol Baskin, kiss my ass.
I think there's a song called that.
Mercury, or is it Mercury? Yeah, Mercury did a song about Carol Baskin killed her husband or something. It's a good song.
Well, that's why I said that, because I knew that there was at least one that made it.
Did you ever watch that Tiger King?
Yeah. I didn't watch, like, the follow-up or anything. Like, I watched it just to, like...
It was the dumbest thing
It's
ever.
so I mean, it was a waste of time in the sense of, like, I am not smarter for it.
But it was like watching a car wreck.
Right.
And you
It's one of those
should
ones
look-
where, like, you shouldn't, and you're like,
I have to.
this guy is hooking up with him just for meth or whatever it was. Like, there's just crazy things that go on in this world that if you don't know, you don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we drive by and see a nice, what we think is a piece of property or farm, and who knows what's going on deep down in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
Truth is stranger than fiction. Usually.
When we first pull up this place, it was on like a boardwalk kind of place where it's on the second story. And I'm like, how do you have alligators? Like, instantly, like, oh my God. We're at the
You got
freaking
ripped
Tiger
off.
King's brother's place or some shit. Like, we went there and it wasn't. It was clean. Like, it still smelled because of animals.
Animals,
It was inside, like, the zoo smells. We went by the monkeys, like, ooh, it's a little smelly there today. But the orangutans, oh my God, is that fun to watch. It is, like, anything you can do at the zoo. The most fun thing is to go like check out the monkeys. In this particular case, there's like the orangutans that they have at Tampa Zoo or Zoo Tampa, and oh my God, like one went down and got some water. You could tell who's the male, like the alpha here, because it's the biggest one, and you could just tell. Like you sense it, right? You see it. The smaller one, it's a juvenile, probably like 2 or something, goes down and like takes some water and puts it in its mouth, and then walks over close to the one and goes. And squirts water at it, and the thing like comes at it, like, and it runs off. You know, now is it gonna like beat the living hell out of the thing? Probably not. But all the animals knew, like that one right there runs the show. But it was so freaking cool to watch, and we sat there probably for like both times we went, like probably for half hours, watching the dynamics of these animals. Like, it's really cool. A lot of people are anti-zoo, like, oh, these animals belong in the wild. Yeah, I get that. But here's the thing. If I go to the zoo and I see these animals and I somehow get involved in trying to make the world a better place, that's the whole purpose. Like, I would never see monkeys unless I went into the wild, right? So the purpose of these things is because of that. Now, there are some, like Tiger King, shouldn't have animals. Absolutely. So do we need better control and stuff? Absolutely. But you shouldn't always look at like, oh, look at that poor, fish. It's in that, fish spends his life in a freaking kid. And then, like, for instance, the zoo in Tampa, I think it's the white rhino, which there's a lot of animals they have that are almost extinct. They're participating in trying to breed these animals to then hopefully get the population back to release into the wild to help the issues with the extinction.
Conservation management.
Yeah, so
No,
I don't know.
I'm not against zoos. I don't like when I go and like you see an animal living its life on concrete. Like that's not, like now if they got to go in and get a bath in a concrete area, whatever, that's different. But like they need something close to their natural habitat, kind of like us in our zoo.
Zoo Tampa's
Like,
Zoo Tampa's pretty good like that. I mean, there's
we get to
another.
choose our own.
I mean, there's another
cells.
zoo around here I've been to a few times that I'm not as big of a fan of because I feel like it's more that because they just don't have the money. But I'm like, well, if you don't have the money, maybe you just shouldn't have the animals. So yeah, I can totally go along with that too. Like that lion should have space and
Right.
whatever. His life shouldn't suck. He shouldn't want to wish that he wouldn't get up the next day because this is miserable.
Right.
They do have a bear down there that I kind of looked at. Like I felt that way, even though he had a big enclosure with. But I kind of looked at him like, man, I feel he looks depressed. He looks like most animals, like especially the monkeys. Monkeys just do what they do, right? They just have fun. Like I don't know. It was pretty cool. So anyway, just kind of got off topic there, but
Oh, we'll just call it Tim's take on the zoo, maybe on the.
there you go. I have a lot of other things I want to talk about in future shows that like experiences that came out of my vacation that like quite a few actually different things that we could turn into pretty decent topics that I think will maybe surprise some people too. But so tomorrow I looked up some basketball games. So tomorrow, Friday, JV girls and varsity girls have a game in Monadnock, 5 o'clock. JV 6:30 for the varsity. But then Newport boys JV 5:30 and then 7 in Newport are playing home. So it's open to the public. I don't even think it's they don't even charge a fee. Just go down to the Wheeler Gym.
I think you might be able to give a donation if they have kids sitting out there. I know some games they
Sometimes
be out
they
there.
do, sometimes they don't. Sorry's donation is, it's not. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the money, okay, just like
Yeah,
sorry,
just go
I
out there
can't.
and just cheer these kids on.
Because cheering them on and being there is what's really important. And so the Spirit girls cheerleaders will be there at 7 too for the varsity game, and then Kearsarge will be at the Newport Middle School for the girls A team at 4, and then the B team at 5:15 tomorrow. So I'll be there because Lydia's playing on the A team. So
Where's that at?
that's at the middle school. Oh yeah, I got a list too. Things to talk about me and you later. Some things about well, when I go to the games, like the scoreboard doesn't work. It hasn't worked for a while, even though it looks like it's new, like newer. I don't know. So there's just stupid things that.
There's a lot of little things that we got to fix.
Little things. The
Most
big
important
things,
one is a good education whenever they graduate, that they can be productive members of society.
one thing we did say last time we did our show, and I want to make sure we go into this further at some point, is this. I think it's this year is the first year you have to like take the entry. You have to take the citizenship test to graduate. You have to pass it, or you won't graduate. I think this year it's like 70% of it or something, but next year it's the full thing. Which I have a lot of negative things to say about New Hampshire and their education and the way the state does things and whatever, but I think that is one of the smartest things they've done. And I don't know who introduced the bill, who even put it in place. Don't even care. The reality is that I think that's smart. So I think, like we just talked about, me and you should take it. Putting ourselves out there, of course, but
Well, Richard Dreyfuss would agree with you. There was an interview with him where he said that they need to reintroduce civics because a lot of people have no clue.
no. There's
Like a lot of people think that you have to do what the government tells you to do, which you don't. Like the government, you tell the government what to do. Now they might pass a law that, but like they're passing all kinds of stuff that even the polls show that 80% of us disagree with. So like, who are they really representing at this point? Like at this point, I don't really care what anybody in government at the federal level says to me.
no, because it's
You know what I mean? Like
it's such
It's just
Bullshit.
it's a joke. You're garbage. It's like they're just
You know what I noticed? Like, I don't know. Like,
existing for their own propagation, not for the propagation of the United States of America.
but there's sayings out there, and I kind of noticed it when I was in Florida, and I don't know why. I think just because I was finally like decompressing and trying to like clear my mind from many straight months of just constant work and stress and whatever. But I feel like so many people don't say anything or don't get involved because their life isn't miserable right now, whether it's because they're in a position where they're not, or they've, like, if you're lower class, not as in like lower class because you're a shitty person, lower class because you're just income level. Like, that's how they.
Lower income level class.
So a lot of these people have now had it like embedded into their minds that like it's just how it is and you should just accept it. That's bullshit.
No, you have a fundamental obligation to speak up. That's why we're always asking everybody to come to the school
Yes.
board.
And I
You
don't
can come
care-
there and yell at us and tell us how bad we suck. Give us ideas. I mean, that's what we're there for. It's public service. Not everything's going to be hunky
And
dory.
the reality is people that represent you. We represent people, right? And we don't speak for the school board. We're on the school board. When we talk about our show, it's just me and you and our opinions. But we represent the person that doesn't work, is on drugs, whatever, to the person that's worth X amount of $1 million. And I look at it as the same as, okay, well, this person I represent, this person I represent. So either one of those people come to me like have an issue, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, you're kind of like a whatever in society, so I don't. No, that's not how it works. Not for me. No, I want to know what you think, because you know what, you may notice something that all these supposed smart people or whatever these well-to-do people of here didn't notice because of where you are in a position where you're in. And I feel like everybody's brought into your life at a certain time for a reason. So you gotta people gotta stop thinking that. Just because you're not making a lot of money and you're a bad place in your life, which we've all been there, we've all gone through it. I don't care who you are. I don't care. You could be, I don't want to say Bill Gates because he's a piece of shit, but Elon Musk, okay? The dude is the richest man in the world now, right? How did he get there? He started out way the hell down here, and he worked his way up. And you don't think he went through hard times in his life? Yeah, he did, because that's reality. We all do. So just because you're on hard times now, like, I still represent you, just like these people in Washington and in Concord, they represent you. So
Supposed to.
you're supposed to. And if they're looking down on you like
There's
that,
no special interest paying the school board. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not getting bought off.
I see. So I
We're
have
here to execute what you want us to execute.
So I have to run again this year because I took Rhonda's spot. I was appointed. Downside is Bill's leaving and Bert just talked about maybe leaving. So, and then Jenna's position's up this year. So that's 4 positions, 5 5 total. 4 out of the 5. That's bad. Like, that's not good because we need stability there. So Jenna's talked about running for 1 year because with her, she's a teacher now. Like, it's a lot. And so yeah, no, I would like to run for the 3 year because I don't want to do this again in a year. I have to run for an election again. Now, who knows? No one may even sign up this year. Or it could be like last year, and there's a bunch of people, and now all of a sudden it's it's like a contest and whatever. But I said this to you too, and I'm like, why the hell would anyone want to do this? Like,
No, there's some days where I'm like,
Yes.
oh my god, man! Like,
Because-
it's
because honestly, you sit here, okay, and yes, we do have control over some things, but the reality is we have less control over the things than anyone thinks. because
the board has
the board, yes.
oversight.
Yeah, me and you don't have
We have
crap.
nothing.
So you
but-
have 3 people that vote on something, but even then, like, we could go tonight and you could be like, we should do this, and me, you, and one other person votes for it, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
It's not that easy. Like, none of it's easy. And then there's things you find out that like you just, it's non-public. It's you can't tell anybody. It's confidential. So like there's so much to it, and I'm like, you're not getting an income out of this. That's I think you get $1,000 a year or something like that. Which I didn't even know that when I ran because I think that's ridiculous. But because I'm like, doesn't make sense. So like people go to Washington, they make money. They make just under 200 grand a year. Somehow, after 2 years, they're worth millions. I didn't figure that part out, but this is public service. This is what it is, right? You're just doing it because you're taking time away from whatever other things you'd be doing because you care and you want to, But I've said many times, like, who the hell would want to do this? Of course, I'm going to run again because I feel like there's so much more we can do, but it's not easy. Then there's not so. There's times I've sat there on the other side. I've sat here on this side now, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of things that if you were a year ago when I was running, like the things I said, and like not that I don't feel like certain things the same, but it's eye opening. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, it's not.
Because like we keep saying, using the expression, trying to turn a barge around. Yeah. And it's in that canal over there that got stuck, So it's such a slow process because it might not look right now, but we've actually made lots of changes that should help the school.
Yeah.
But you're not going to see that this year.
Yeah, you'll see it.
Next year it's going to start. So
a couple of years.
Right. So you can't just keep every year making huge changes because you get nowhere.
Right.
You got to let those changes work, and so then you're trying to fix small things, and it's pretty crazy and eye-opening, like how complex it is. You think it'd be easy, because if you run it like a business, it's pretty easy, but it's not a business, and it's not.
You got bureaucrats involved, from D.C. all the way down to town selectmen.
Yeah,
that they make decisions or pass things that affect.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, we need to be more prepared. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to just ramble on and not have my facts in front of me.
We'll wait on that one, but I know one thing is the selectmen and that whole branch of Newport government and the school board need to be working
together
for the taxpayers together. Because that definitely is not happening.
Yeah, it's not an us versus them thing. It needs to be like, it's us and them, not versus. It's us and them.
Exactly.
It's them and us.
There's such a division there that, it was there well before we were there. And I'm sure it was there before the people in the select board were even there. But no, this is a team thing. If there's something we can do on the school.
Well, if you think about it, if the school improves and we start working our way from the bottom in New Hampshire statistics up towards the middle, think about how much better prepared our kids are, how better our town will be, because you have, you just have an education system where people want their kids to be involved, right? Like when you look up, I want to move to New Hampshire because it's freedom or whatever. Live free or die used to be the motto. Now they're trying to make it just live free, but it's live free or die. And part of that is having a good education. And I think that the town will benefit from our students getting the education they deserve.
Oh, just so everyone knows out here, JJ's here. I'm rubbing his neck, not Steve's leg.
I don't know if they can see that.
Just for the record, JJ. Everyone's like, what's going on there? So I don't know where I heard this. I heard it somewhere. And who knows? You could have told me. So when I say this and you're like, hey, I told you. Or if you know where, I can't remember where the hell I heard it. But someone had said to fix education, it's an easy fix. Because if you force people that have money, you force their children to go to public school will then be a great school because they're sending their kids to private school so they get a good education because there's no way in hell they're going to put your kid in public school to give them the crappy education you get in public school because it's not funded and there's all kinds of reasons. But so if you made those people, and I think it was some country did it or something, I don't know if it's Finland or it's just coming to my mind, but I think it was some country is like, no, that's how we're going to do it. There's going to be all kids go to these schools. That's it. Now, if you're worth $100 million, great, but your kid's still going to that school. So then that person with $100 million said, okay, well, that school needs to be good because my kid's not going to go to a crappy school. And then they invest in that school and they make sure that school's good. And I was like, huh. Which?
I got all kinds of ideas that I know would never float in my own personal opinion, which, number one, just kids need to be in classrooms a lot less than what they are. Kids need to be exploring, creating, and building bonds with each other and realizing that, yes, it's good to be an individual. I'm all about individuality, but also sometimes it takes the town or, a group of individuals coming together to, like in sports. But I can't, it bothers me to think about how you have to like train yourself to sit there for 6-8 hours a day at 6 years old. Like, who wants to do that? You think a 6-year-old wants to sit there in a desk, sitting up straight, saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, learning their ABCs day in and day out?
Out of school when you went to school.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. The time frame's the same, but I don't know.
But they're not outside exploring and creating and whatever else. They're not doing that.
No.
They're still sitting in a classroom. I mean, that's just...
I think it gets me the most, that's what pisses me off the most is, so no matter what, at the end of the day, and I think, like I said, I know this trip to Florida was pretty enlightening, but I think it was because we were coming back and I was driving on the road, right? And it's like, I have this rental car, and so, and didn't have an inspection sticker. It was from Colorado, the plates, which was great because the second car had New York plates. I'm like, I don't want New York plates. That stick out the exactly
every state south of
Then I was
Delaware.
like, got a Colorado plate. I'm like, all right, that's cool. No one gives a crap if you're from Colorado. But anyways, so we're high tax no matter what. No matter what, we're paying for it. So why aren't we demanding more? Like, your roads suck. Your road is destroying my vehicle that I'm spending nowadays stupid money for, like mortgage money for, to afford a truck, a new truck. Like my truck's going to be this truck I got now is $1,000 a month or close to it. But like new trucks now are $60,000-$70,000. So, and then when I buy that new truck, I'm going to pay a stupid amount to register it because apparently I can afford a new truck, even though I don't afford it. The bank owns it. I didn't pay for cash for it. And then I'm going to pay that, but your roads, and you inspect my vehicle every year, right? Make sure it's up to road standards. Well, my vehicle has to be up to standards, yet your road doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. I remember before they did Barton Whitney, I was like, Nikki, you need to go have the town pay for our strut or whatever, hitting one of those potholes. I mean, they like pop up out of nowhere, and then they're filled with water or dirt, whatever, or snow, and then you hit it, and then it destroys your car.
So I guess like the point, in a way, I'm trying to make is, at the end of the day, and when we vote a couple months here for school and everything else, like, yeah, you can not vote that $1.02 increase on your taxes and save yourself some money. You can, but you're paying for shit now. Like, you're paying for the bottom.
We have 16 teachers, whereas 4 years ago we had 22 at the high school, not counting CTE.
You have 32 kids have a full schedule. The rest of the kids do not.
So 10% of the school basically has a full schedule.
Of the high school, yeah. 10%. Or because you're paying no matter what, and you're always going to pay no matter what. So you can keep paying high taxes, which you're going to pay no matter what, because right now the taxes are high. Or you can put that little extra into it, which, trust me, some people are like, I cannot afford it, and I get it, because I get it. My last light bill was $750. I think that's ridiculous.
That is kind of ridiculous. Mine wasn't that high, and I got your freezer in here.
But, or you can say, all right, you know what? I'm sick of paying these taxes. I need to do something to make it better, and I'm going to, give this $1.02 per 1,000. It's $100 if you're $100,000 house. Say most houses, it's still probably $200 a year increase in your taxes. Which I know you're just hosed on your evaluation, but me and you are hosed on our evaluation too. Well, I wasn't because I didn't have a house at the time. I'm going to very much be hosed when I get my tax bill now that I have a house and a garage sitting on it. So, but trust me, we're in the same boat. My tax bills are going to go from probably $2,000.
Well, Bert Spalding,
freaking
Senior, he called it out at that one meeting. He said, I think Jenna has the highest.
Yeah, on the board.
Yeah. Because she probably didn't challenge it. Like we challenged it, or mine probably would have been the highest.
So it's just, I think, kind of remember that, like,
But that goes to show you how inefficient and messed up government is for all you that may watch that aren't all about freedom and you want the government to give you your permissions and your left and right limits. I mean, they messed up every freaking thing in Newport and evaluated hot tubs at $100,000 whatever dollars. Like, that's your government or the contractors your government hires for you. That's how horrible they are. So who knows how much this is really, it's not worth even what they just valuated it at. And the town is just as complicit because they allow this to happen. So the select board needs a change. See, now you got me talking about it because they send out garbage. And then you got people sitting here like, Steve, trust the government. You don't know. You need to just relax. No, the government is full of bureaucrats, and some are good, and some will do the right thing, and they're not going to make very many mistakes. But we're all human, so we're all going to make mistakes at some point. But at what point do you just allow them to keep making stupid mistakes like that? $100,000 for a hot tub. You can't proofread your stuff and not get me worked up as a citizen because you've almost like, well, they doubled my house value at the time. They doubled it because they made a mistake and counted my hot tub as like a $140,000 hot tub.
yeah,
Like, what the?
I think Nikki said 136,000.
Yeah.
Every resident had a hot tub.
Yeah.
Increase.
So whenever you got people out there saying trust the government, you're crazy. So here's another example that you can provide because most of our listeners don't trust the government in that sense of like blindly trust them, right? Like, I believe in the Constitution. I believe what I was taught, but it's not we're not executing it the way that it was written and what we were taught. And to sit there and say I'm not allowed to criticize that and that makes me a bad person and I'm not anti anything. I'm anti corruption. I'm anti bureaucracy. You know, you got these men and women who are paid to just sit there and they come up with ideas and they're not elected. And they sit and they make up stuff and they punish people because they get mad at them for something, but then they can wiggle their way out of it possibly. Like, there's all kinds of childishness that goes on in the real world, like when your brothers and sisters or family members, happens at the government level, and it's garbage. It needs to be very few people involved with government as it is, because the more people you get, like, just like I can make a decision that 50% of the town will be like, well, Steve's out of control. He's power hungry. He doesn't want the kids to be taught this. No, I don't. Like, if I want my child to be taught this, I'll teach them that. Right? I'm just talking about a general topic. I'm not anything in specific. But when something comes up and a parent comes up to the school board and says, I don't want you teaching my kid that, I'm going to say, don't teach his kid that. Send a letter home and say, hey, we're teaching this. Make the exception to where you put a little note in that kid's file that says, Dad and Mom don't want them learning this stuff. And then you got to say, all right, well, that's your prerogative. You're the parent. Parents have rights. I didn't cede my rights to the state. The state's not responsible for raising my child. Now, some people may have lost custody of their children. That's a different story. But it's still...
Yeah, but remember that. So it's always the same thing. Like, well, yeah, well, you know, the state has to have this input and blah, 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 blah. That's funny because if the kid fucks up and is now looking at, you know, like really messes up and like, oh, your child's going to go to jail, or no, we're going to hold you, the parent, responsible. Well, wait a minute.
Right.
I thought it was everybody's child. It takes a village to raise your kid.
Right.
So where's the village to fall? Right. No, the village isn't going to fall. Me.
Stop
you.
using logic. See, the problem is we use logic and reason. So you look at something, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then they go and they're like, but not in this case. Well, no. That's like a geometric proof that you just given me. You just said if A equals B and B equals C, A equals C, right? So, like, if the parent's held responsible when they do something horribly wrong, then the parent's also responsible to say, don't teach my child this. I'll back a parent up.
Yeah, it's like
most times.
Some of the homework,
but
well, not homework, the work Lydia had for over vacation. And first of all, I don't understand how she missed. I mean, I did look at the days. She actually only missed 4 days of school, of actual school, because 2 of the days were days off planned, and then there was 2 snow days. But you still had 4 days worth of schoolwork that she somehow made up in like a half day. She went to school yesterday, which you wonder what's freaking wrong with the school. Well, maybe the fact that you can make up 4 days in a couple hours is maybe the issue here. because that should have taken her a couple days to make up. But
I remember when we were in Hawaii, Zeta defended herself and got in trouble, so she had to go to in-school suspension, and she had all of her work for like they give you, the teachers send your work there. She said that, for the 3 or 4 days that she had it or whatever, that she had all of her work done by like in 2 hours, and then, because she was like the only one in there, and she's generally a good kid, other than, getting punished for defending herself, which I will never tell her not to defend herself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were wrong for punishing her. A boy touched her. She said, "Stop it." He touched her again. She said, "If you touch me again, I'm going to retaliate." And he touched her again, and she decked him.
good.
And then he was like, "I didn't touch her," even though like the teacher and everybody else saw him, and he had a reputation for being a unwanted toucher. Like, no boy has a right to touch my child ever. No boy can touch a girl ever.
You know what the school said?
Unless they have permission and they're old enough to give permission. But nobody touches my child, and nobody should be touching your child.
You know what the school said once? So,
And this was in Hawaii. This was not Newport. So
I'm going to tell you a Newport story. This is well before I was on the board and whatever. But so, my daughter went to school. She's wearing some shirt, whatever. You could see her bra straps, or whatever. And then the teacher like called her out, and, like dress coded her in front of the whole class. It was like it's super embarrassing. Well, the teacher almost got fired just because of who my ex-wife was and the fact that you think our little soapbox here is big. Like, she had a big soapbox. Like, she got a phone call later that the next day or something, the superintendent knew nothing about it. Like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. How do we make this better?" Because she was on like the radio talking about it. So thousands and thousands of people are hearing it, one of those deals. And, but they had said that, well, the reason we don't want, girls to wear, anything revealing is because it could, encourage the boys to, snap their bra or whatever. I'm like, well, let me tell you, I don't care if the girl goes to freaking, and I do care, but let's go to an adult situation now, okay? So you see an adult female walking down the street, bare ass naked, and you look at her and she's this gorgeous woman. You're like, oh, wow. Just because she's bare ass naked walking down the road doesn't give you any goddamn rights to touch her.
ever.
You can look at her. She's openly walking down you can look at her, but that doesn't say, oh, she's naked.
Yeah, that's
She
called
wants me
victim
to-
blaming.
So the school was blaming the victims, and I'm like, is this really freaking happening right now? How about boys? You touch her, you're gonna go,
Yeah,
and you're gonna get in deep trouble.
Teach them to respect them and
Exactly.
not be childish.
Now, yes, there's appropriate things for school, whatever, but that shit, the decisions for them to ask the child, the student, to wear this, that, or whatever,
Well, yeah, 'cause
should not
you
be
made it
based
worse,
on that.
especially because you did it in public, right? So now your child's going to be self-conscious, and now everybody is open season on her bra strap.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about discretion that some people don't understand, have never figured it out.
Yeah, there's definitely some, yeah.
Oh, now you got me on my soapbox. You got me all
know.
fired up.
I wore my fuck Joe Biden shirt, but it was too cold up here when we first came up here to take my little outer sweatshirt off. So
Oh, I got
just want to point that out.
my Big Lebowski sweater.
It's finally it's warm up here now. I'm starting to be like, oh,
It's really the one that he wore in the
Exactly.
allegedly. I mean, it's like, it's not like a replica, but it's by the same company, I guess.
nice.
Just so you know. The dude abides. My first dog was named Dude.
All right, so school we're meeting tonight. Games tomorrow. There are some games today, but I didn't post them because time this gets out.
Yeah, so we'll be on our way to the school board probably by the time this
Yeah.
uploads.
It uploads slower, and then I was editing slower because I forgot some things. Last time I was like, it's only been like 3 months since I've done this, so
A little rusty.
a little rusty, but yeah. All right, we'll wrap it up from there. But yeah, so tonight, school board, if you can't get there, at least you can watch on NCTV, the website for NCTV, or Facebook, or YouTube.
And they've
or-
updated the school webpage, too. So, I mean, they're
Yep.
doing a good job of keeping it updated. If you want to get to know, if you know anybody that's got their CDL that's looking to
Yeah, we need bus drivers desperately.
definitely desperately need some bus drivers.
We still have a bunch of positions at the school that are open. Looks like we hired another person, I think. So
We got some para positions. There's a A couple of teaching positions still.
Another reason why this budget desperately needs to pass is because in the budget, and if it fails, this is part of the budget, is revamping the paras pay. So the para, instead of a para getting paid less than you would at McDonald's, they'll actually get paid a fair wage to where we actually can get paras to come to Newport. Right now, they're like, why would I want to go make,
What? It's
I don't know, 10,
less
12
than
bucks an hour or
Less than
something?
I do at McDonald's if I'm.
Doing an important job, of course.
Yeah, I mean they're professionals. I got 2-year
mean,
degrees.
Yeah. Do you want people around your kids that are making?
Yeah, you just
What?
you want.
I couldn't believe when someone told me like, "Oh no, you'd actually make more money at McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever, than you do paraprofessional working around children." I'm like,
Yeah,
what the hell is wrong
We're
with
in
it?
the bizarro world. I
system.
tell you this all the time. It's clown world, bizarro world, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching, and if we get kicked off YouTube, we'll be on Rumble soon, anyways. But yeah, we'll see you next time. We'll definitely be doing a couple shows. I'd say next week. So we're gonna get back to doing at least a couple shows a week, and
Tweaking our format.
tweaking
I'm-
some things, trying to get some new sponsors too, and we're trying to really, we want to up our game, get back to where we were before. We're starting to get on a roll, and then
Yeah, then we
someone
started-
had to move and build a house and all that crap, and so I'm on that point now. It's like, all right, let's try to build this into something. So email it, Tim and Steve Show NH@gmail. You can email into if you have thoughts, ideas, comments. I don't care. You can send me hate mail. That doesn't bother me.
Or you can comment on the actual video that you're watching right now.
Yeah. I'll read your hate mail right on the air.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me.
I mean, we're going to be wrong about things. I don't know. That's
You
weird
keep
to-
saying that, but every time you say it,
No,
you become more and more like,
Well, like we have like strong positions on something,
Yeah.
but then by the time you listen to all the facts surrounding it, we're not as hardlined. Maybe you know what I mean. Like you were saying earlier that
I have
before you
something.
got on the school board, you
Yeah,
were like,
and I have something to talk about in some of our next shows that will make you think, oh my God. Well, see, there's more to the surface. There's more there than you think, but people
there's
make
more than
judgments.
just your bark.
There is.
There's more to you than just your goatee.
Yes.
There's more to you than your hat that says nobody owes you shit.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing that I will just point out, and you probably noticed a little more of this show. Like, I'm done with the filter.
I heard you drop a couple
Yeah.
of bombs. I'll make sure I check not for kids.
Yeah. Well, it's not made for kids anyways, but
I know, but I think you have it set.
I'm done being like, just this is going to be me, like legit me. Like this is our show. Sponsors that we've had in the past, whatever, they know us. They actually a lot of them reached out to us, like, hey, how do we sponsor? Because we're similar, and I'm sick of people like you see it so much at the school where there's like this fairy tale world of the school, right? I'm like, do you realize that teacher goes home and that teacher swears, that teacher probably drinks, and like that's his life because the teacher's a freaking an adult. I'm an adult here. Like, we're people. Why are we pretending to be someone else? We're trying to set an example. You're children. Well, why do I care if the kid knows that I swear? Like, it's not like.
Well, it's an older thing. It's against the in the Bible it says don't swear.
But I wouldn't go to the school board meeting. I mean, I guess if I was really fired up, maybe. But like, there's right.
Yeah,
it's-
you're not saying you're going to start dropping f-bombs all over the place. You're just
No.
saying you're not.
I'm going to talk more openly on the show, and that would get said more on the show. I won't be going to the school board meeting and dropping f-bombs constantly. No, because that's just not the place. Like, it's different, right? But our show, I'm going to just sometimes going to be less careful.
You're going to
with
fire
it.
for effect. I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like in the military. You cuss whenever you really need everybody to pay attention.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, guys. If we don't see you around town, allegedly, or if we don't see you at school meeting tonight, we will see you next time. Thank you for watching the Tim and Steve Show.